Alright, hi everybody. So this is how we do it. This is my playthrough video. I'm starting the very first scenario. This is the Beyond the Ocean's Edge scenario. I posted a video before this one that explained the setup. So I'll go through some of the things that I did in the setup as I'm going along. I'll play a couple of rounds. This round, the first round that I play, I will explain some of the moves that I'm doing. I'll give some in-depth reasons of why I'm doing certain things, explain some of the actions, and then I have some things off screen right now that I'll bring in screen and kind of show you along the way. As I get into future rounds, I'll try and do a lot of that stuff off screen and just kind of verbally say what I'm doing. So the first thing we have to do is the preparation phase, which we're going to be taking our four pirates, which I am playing all four pirates right now, and we are going to be putting them along these different actions here. Now, there are different symbols here that show like how many people can go on the action spot. So these all can only hold one pirate, where the green can hold multiple pirates, so more than one can go there. There are other action spots. If we get to other pages, you might see some different symbols there. Um, so off screen right now, I have the players, the treasures that they have, and then the different roles that are out here. The first thing you do in the preparation phase is you're going to start a timer right here, which is going to give you 40 seconds to choose where you're going to put each character. Since I'm controlling all four, I am going to do them one at a time, which is what you would normally do in the game if you're playing with other people. And you base that off of the infamy track, which I'll bring on screen now. So here's the infamy track. So right off the bat, we're starting with Cottonmouth Checkers, then Saint Paco, then Creepy Alice, and lastly Ornery Jones. So you always place them in that order based on the infamy track. All right, so I will start the timer and then I'll place them on the spots, and I'll kind of explain as I'm going why I'm placing them certain places. All right, so first one, we got Cottonmouth Checkers now. Cottonmouth Checkers, if I look at her skills, she's really good at exploration, so I'm going to put her at the abandoned houses since that has an exploration symbol right there. The next I have is St. Paco. St. Paco is really good with swagger, so I'm going to put him up here at the market since, again, there's a swagger symbol. Next, we have Creepy Alice. Creepy Alice is really good at bronze, so we'll put her at the Tipsy Tortoise. There's the bronze symbol. And last, we have Ornery Jones. I don't really have a great spot for her, so I'm going to put her at the Captain's Mission. We'll see what she does there. So you hit done if you make it before the time runs out. If you did not complete it before time runs out, what happens is your discontent, which I'll get right now, you would move this discontent marker up one if you did not finish in time. If your discontent and crew ever make it at the same spot, then you lose the game. So we did complete it in time, so I don't have to move that up. So now that I'm done choosing the character spots, I will then zoom in on their specific actions and we'll see what each one does. So first one up is the market. That is where St. Paco went. So at the market, he gains swagger +1, which is right here, and then it says perform a swagger check. So off screen, I'm filling in the swagger spot, which is found right here. When I filled this in, there was a star here. Every time you get a star, you are then going to fill a circle in your constellation. Now, where you fill that circle, it has to be adjacent to either the starting star on here or any other filled in spot. So I already filled this in off screen right here. The reasoning behind that is I would like to get to these exclamation points. These are going to give me constellation events, which are going to give me benefits. So I filled in the swagger, so he has a +1 on all swagger checks now. Once I did that, now it says to perform a swagger check, so I will roll his D12. So he got a 12. That is awesome. So 12 plus his 1 on his skill check gives him 13. So if we look up here, that is the choose 3 market options below. So we're going to look at these options down here. So the first thing says get supplies for the crew. So that would be supplies +2. I can choose this multiple times. Now, I will zoom in on the supplies track. So there's the supplies track. Probably not going to be doing that, seeing how we already have max 10 supplies. So that probably won't get chosen. We could gather news from the locals, which gives us a reroll. The rerolls are nice because it'll let us obviously reroll a skill check, which is really good if we didn't do very well. We could get something nice, which says spend 1 supplies to gain treasure. That also sounds like a pretty good thing that we could do. Treasures are really helpful. Then we have get a cool haircut, spend 1 supplies to gain 1 infamy, or +2 infamy. So if I go back to the infamy track, well, St. Paco is already second. I don't know if I want to use the +2 just to move him up 1 spot. And last one is get a cannon. That says spend 2 supplies to gain 1 loaded level 2 or lower cannon. That sounds pretty good. So I think with my 3 options, the first one I would like to do is gather news from locals, get a reroll token. So there's my reroll token. So I'll put that off to the side with St. Paco's stuff. The next I'm going to do get something nice. So spend 1 supplies to gain treasure. So I will go ahead and spend my 1 supplies. And now I will get a treasure card, which I'll draw from the deck. And it looks like we got sack of moldy fruit. Discard to gain swagger +1 or supplies +2. That's pretty nice, especially if we need those supplies later on. So I'll add that to his treasure now. If you watched my other video, he did already start with a treasure, which was the fake gun, which says when you gain 1 or more aim, you may steal 1 treasure from another player. So that didn't come into play. We did not gain any aim. Also to note, you can have a max of 4 treasures at a time. Currently, right now, St. Paco has 2 treasures. So that was 2 of my 3 options. The last one I think I'm going to do is get a cannon. So spend 2 supplies to gain 1 loaded level 2 or lower cannon. So I'll go down to supplies. So if you watch my other video, we already had a level 1 cannon that gives us +3 when we're attacking. We have a level 1 unloaded. So now we'll go ahead and add a level 2 loaded, which gives us a +5 in attack. So that's pretty nice. All right, so that ends St. Paco's turn. So now we are up with Cottonmouth Checkers, which is the red player. So Cottonmouth Checkers has exploration +1, then perform an exploration check. Again, I'm marking the exploration off screen right now. So she got an exploration +1. Again, there was a star here, so I can go back up to this constellation. And I'm going to do this one right here. Again, I did that off screen. So she now has a +1 on all exploration checks. So then we have to perform an exploration check by rolling her red die. So we'll go ahead and roll for her. So she got a 7, so 7 + 1, that's 8. That means she gets a treasure. So again, we'll draw another treasure card out of that deck. And it looks like she got a homemade Granada. It says you may spend 1 crew and discard this card before performing a brawn check to add 6 to your result. That is pretty nice, especially if our crew is really high, which it is right now. It's at a 9. We can discard go down 1 in the crew and then add 6 to our result. So we can add that to her other treasure, which again, I showed this in the other video. And she has the Pirate Manifesto, which says discard when choosing an action to choose a limited action that another player has already chosen. That player must immediately choose a different action. So she can go where somebody else already is on one of those limited actions and boot them off. So she now has 2 treasures. So that is the end of Cottonmouth Checkers action. Now we are on to Creepy Alice, which is the yellow player. So Creepy Alice chose 3, which is the Tipsy Tortoise. So it says intimidate the barkeep, crew +1, and then brawn +1. Then perform a brawn check. So let's go ahead and do crew +1 first. So our crew is currently at 9. So we'll bump that up to the max, which is 10. And then it says brawn +1. So again, off screen, I'm filling in the brawn right now. So I filled in brawn right here. That also had a star. So if I go up to the constellation, Now this one's really nice. I already filled this in off screen. She's one away from that constellation event, which would be really helpful for us. So now we have to perform a brawn check. So let me roll for Creepy Alice. All right, so she got a 4 plus 1. That is just a 5. So we are going to read entry 299. So I'm going to bring the app back. Anytime you need to read an entry, you're going to plug it in on here. So that was 299. And you hit yard. So it says, give me a drink on the house, you snarl. Make it quick and maybe I won't beat you so badly. I'm a pirate after all. The barkeep stares at you with a blank, unresponsive face. What aren't you getting here? You demand. I want a free drink and I want it now, because otherwise I'll beat your face. I'm a pirate, see? You are ushered to a smoky back room. There you are met by a woman in a strangely elegant dress, wearing an Ebon mask over her face. I hear you're a pirate, she whispers. I have use of a pirate. Why do you wear a mask? You ask nervously, and the strange woman smiles demurely and reveals her face. You return to the ship 4 hours later, and your hair a ghostly white with strange markings beneath your eyes. So we gain a misfortune. So these misfortunes are not good. This is a misfortune token. So Creepy Alice gets misfortune tokens. What those do are anytime you have to do a skill check, if you have a misfortune token, you either roll a die twice or roll 2 dice and you take the lower value whenever you're doing a skill check. So that's not good. And then her infamy goes down -1. So I'll bring this infamy track back out. So her infamy goes down 1, which means she just switches with Ornery Jones. And then it says retrieve card 23, Cursed Mark of Sight from the story deck. So the story deck is basically things that are going to carry over. So I'm looking through that deck now. They are ordered, so that's nice. You don't have to shuffle them up. So it says number 23. So here is the Cursed Mark of Sight, which is after performing an exploration check, misfortune +2. That is not good. We do not want to send her on any exploration checks. But she does get a +3 exploration, so maybe we have to give or take with that one. It also says lock action 3. So let me show you what that means. So whenever you're told to lock an action, you take a lock token like this and you put it over the number. So this is 3. So what that means is if we stay on this page, we will no longer be able to do that action because of what Creepy Alice had done. So that was the end of her turn. So we'll go ahead and put her back. And now we're on to the last person. So let me zoom in on what Ornery Jones is doing. So Ornery Jones chose to do the captain's missions, which is number 6. So here's Ornery Jones, the orange character. So it says fill in the next captain's missions box on the ship's log and read the entry. So let me show you what that looks like. So here's the ship's log. So I showed this in the other video. Our ship's name Houdini. That's the Beyond the Ocean's Edge of the scenario. And then this is our keyword that we were told at the beginning, Seeds of Doubt. So if you look right here, it said to cross out our first captain's mission. So I did this off screen. So cross this out and it says read entry 048. So we'll go ahead and get the app and look at that. So we'll go ahead and type in entry 048. So it says, gathered around a fire, you and some of the crew listen to the captain read from one of his books. All witches have a tell, he says. Despite their ability to shapeshift, each form they might take will still carry the blackened spot upon the back of their neck. Beware the mark, for it means a witch in hiding. A witch in her true form is an alluring and hideous sight. Pale violet skin, eyes that glow like starlight, and the captain's voice trails off as Big Henry begins to snuffle, tears rolling down his cheeks. What is it, Big Henry? Vance sighs. I think I'm a witch, Captain. The large man bawls, pointing at a mole on his neck. Big Henry, you're not a witch, groans Captain Vance. Now all of you listen to me. I ain't reading this for fun. You'll understand soon enough, but this stuff could save your lives one day. Everyone grows silent and listens as the old man picks up where he left off. And it says gain 1 skill of your choice. So that was for Ornery Jones. So we'll gain a skill. So off screen again, I chose to do her navigation because she has a lot of space. So I didn't talk about these, but these little seagulls right here prevent you from going any further. So her exploration will only ever get to a 2, where her navigation can go all the way up to a 7. That did have a star. So again, I filled this in off screen. And again, This is really good because we're one away from getting that constellation event right there. And just like before, here is the starting treasure that Ornery Jones had, which is Fancy Inkwell. When you gain one or more swagger, gain infamy +1. So I guess I could have gained swagger there to get an infamy, but live and learn. And I just remembered or forgot that I did not show Creepy Alice's treasure that she started with. So here is her treasure. It says discard all of your misfortune tokens and gain reroll +2. If you remember, she got that cursed mark of sight, which every time after performing an exploration check, misfortune +2. So these actually kind of go well together. If she gets a bunch of misfortune, she can use this fake beard to get rid of them. So the last thing you do after each character is done with their actions, which we did finish all the actions, is you always do this round end. So this says round end, read entry 808. So we'll go ahead and type that in. We'll type in 808. So this says threat +1, starting with the player with the highest infamy and proceeding clockwise. Each player with one or more constellation event tokens must resolve their constellation events. Then the highest infamy player must choose one of the following. So let's start with that part where it says threat +1. So this is not good. So if you watch my other video, we have this threat track, which actually has our goal. So our goal is to reach Precipice Island 963, which I have not gotten to the island board. Whenever we need to go to that board, I'll show you where we're starting. This right here tells us how many threat tokens it takes for something bad to happen to us on our ship scribe. So we don't have any right now, but that entry just told us to add one threat. So now we have one threat. So the next time it tells us to check a threat, we are good now, but if we ever have two or more, we would lose that. The other thing it asked us to do is have each player with one or more constellation event tokens resolve those. We don't have anybody with those. Those are those exclamation points that we need to get to. So nobody has those yet, so we don't have to activate any of that. And it says then the highest player must choose one of the following. So currently, our highest infamy player right now is Cottonmouth Checkers. And I think she's going to say, because she can stay and lose crew or leave. I don't think she wants to lose any crew, so let's leave. So it says the highest infamy player moves the ship one space, read entry listed on the new space. So let's go ahead and look at where our ship is at. So here's where our ship started, and I showed this in that intro setup video. So we're at 953. This is where we were trying to get to, 963. We have these rocks that we cannot pass through, and then some kind of cloudy fog areas that we would slow us down getting there. Over here, we have an enemy ship. So if you watch the intro, there is this family that is not happy with us right now, and they sent this captain to come and get us. So we have to avoid that ship at all costs. So it said for the highest infamy player, which was Cottonmouth Checkers, to move the ship. So, I mean, we're just going to move one forward. So this is not good. Looks like we just landed on a lightning storm. So that is the spot that we're at. Anytime you see this exclamation point, if we were still moving, we would stop our movement and end it there. So we're going to stop it there. And then it said to read that entry. So that we're going to put 003 in our app and read what that entry says. All right, so we're going to put in that 003, that spot we landed on. All right, so we have a crossroads event, which says Haunting Voice. Read the following to the player with the highest exploration. So if I look, the highest exploration actually is Cottonmouth Checkers. She's the only one that we covered exploration, so she has a 1 on exploration. If there's ever a tie in checking for that stuff, you always go highest in the infamy track, which in this case is still Cottonmouth Checkers. So we're reading this to Cottonmouth Checkers right now. So it says, you are headed topside when you overhear a voice coming from the captain's quarters. Time is a resource you have little of, Vance, the voice hisses. We're close, I swear, as the Captain Vance urges. Is that fear you detect in the old man's voice? You'd better be, the voice snaps back. You feel the ship tremble as the voice utters each syllable. You press your ear to the captain's door to try to hear more, but Captain Vance suddenly opens it and you tumble in at him. What are you doing, me matey? The captain asks, one eyebrow arching suspiciously. You look around and see no one else in the room. You confront Captain Vance about the voice you heard. You play it off as nothing happened. That was a pretty ominous voice, so let's go ahead and tell Captain Mance about the voice we heard. Har, that's a good one, Captain Mance laughs. You must be hearing things. Been at sea too long. The captain doesn't mention the incident again, but the sound of that voice continues to haunt you. So we got a couple things. It says remove navigation token 003 from the game. So I'm taking that off that board that we just saw. So that is removed from the game. And then it says discontent +1. So discontent +1, that means our discontent moves up. And again, if our discontent and crew ever meet, we lose the game. So discontent, we don't want that going up. Then it says infamy +2. So this is being read to Cottonmouth Checkers. So infamy +2, that already keeps her at the top, so she does not move anymore on the infamy track. Then it says hull -1, so I'll go ahead and do that. So I showed our hull in the introductory video, so our hull was at 5, so that goes down to 4. If our hull ever gets to 0, we also lose the game, so we don't want that going down. The last thing it says is to set dial A to 4, then turn to page 11 and check threat. So let's go ahead and set dial to A4, and then we'll see where our new page is at. We don't need to check threat because we know there's only one threat on there, and we needed 2 in order for that to fail. So it says to turn dial A4, so we're going to turn this dial, which is A, all the way to 4. And that's usually strength for something that we're going to be facing. So let's turn to page 11 and see what that is. So now we're on page 11, so we're at rough sea. That has to do with that 003 spot that we were on, which had lightning. So that A up here that we had to do on the dial, that is the wind strength. So that is the wind strength, which was 4. There's going to be sometimes some warnings, and that'll give you some hints as to what you should do. So this says you got to get your crew on the sails during a storm, or you risk sailors and supplies being swept overboard and the hull taking a beating. Those are all things we don't want to happen. So the next round, we definitely want to focus on making sure we can get those sails up. So that is the end of the first round. Again, next round that I do in the future rounds, I'm going to do a lot of that stuff off screen that I zoomed in for. So like if the crew goes down or discontent goes up, I'm going to do that off screen and just verbalize what I'm doing. If I do need to show you something, I'll bring it back just to show you where we're at on something. But my main focus is going to be on this page and actions that we're doing, and then the board where our ship is. But everything else, I'm going to kind of leave off screen. I might bring the character sheets on just to show you what those do, but it just saves me a little bit of time instead of zooming in on every little thing.